Next up, we have the famous segment where we find out that Beulah McGillicuddy is pregnant, and we also find out who the father is. I'm not big on soap opera type stuff, like a lot of the silly stuff that happens in the WWE. But this segment actually works. It's pretty good drama, and it just helped further the feud between Tommy Dreamer and Raven. This is the kind of soap opera that I can get behind. I liked it. The next match was Sandman defending his title against Konnan, who was brought in from AAA down in Mexico. This was an average match. It didn't really feel much like a title match. I don't even think they announced that it was for the title until the end. It was painful having to watch Konnan take on Sandman. I don't think much of Sandman as a wrestler, let alone as the ECW champion. The guy can't go in the ring. He's got very little talent. I don't see why the crowd liked him. I guess it was because he was like an average everyman, someone that they could identify with. But I can't identify with him. You know, I think a wrestler should be someone you look up to and admire, not someone that you see and say, oh, I could do that, I could do his moves. And that's kind of what Sandman epitomizes. I really don't enjoy his matches. He doesn't do anything for me, especially as champ. I really don't see why they gave him the championship for as long as they did. It's just really painful to watch Konnan try to put over Sandman. Thankfully, this ends in a 10 count, and Sandman wins by default, so he doesn't get the pin over Konnan. It's just an average match. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. After that, we have Stevie Richards taking on Sabu. This was a decent match. You know, there wasn't anything that made it unwatchable. Just another average match. Nothing to really complain or praise about. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. The final match of the night was Public Enemy, Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge taking on the Gangsters, New Jack, and Mustafa. This was Public Enemy's last appearance in ECW before shipping off to WCW, and it was fitting that they took on the Gangsters since they had been in a very long-running feud with them. This was a brawl. This was not a wrestling match by any stretch of the imagination. Both teams punished each other during this match, and I think all 4 men were busted open within 15 minutes. Just a pretty decent match and a decent way to go out. It's a shame that the Public Enemy never really got over with the WCW crowd. Most of the fans there had probably never seen ECW, so they didn't know what to expect with the Public Enemy, and they didn't really embrace them probably as much as they had hoped they would. Thankfully, 3 years later, Public Enemy would return to ECW and last for a little while, but they'd never be as big as they were during this time, and that's kind of a shame. I think they deserved a little more of a push in WCW, regardless of whether the fans got behind them or not. This is one of the things that gets me about some wrestlers. They'll develop this grass is greener mentality. I realize that you want to move up the ladder and you want to make more money, but does making more money make up for the fact that you're not being utilized in the company? Wrestlers say that wrestling is their passion. Well, passion is good, and making a paycheck is good, but if you're making a paycheck and not being utilized by wrestling, then you might as well get a regular job because you're not doing what you want to do. Anyway, enough with the ranting. This match, I'm giving a 6 out of 10. Overall, ECW's House Party 96 is an average show. You've got one really good match, and about 5 or 6 matches that are average to a little above average. There's not a lot that weighs this show down. There are a few things that I would have cut to make things a little better, but it's still a show worth watching. I'm giving House Party 96 a 5 out of 10. Thank you for listening, and please tune in again when I review another wrestling DVD, video, or anything that crosses my path.